this twist, I mean, Keyamo making the list almost at the last minute. Could it have been oversight on the part of the president when he submitted the second batch, the second list now to the Senate? And then he suddenly remembered and decided to include his name.
There is something going on. I have to say that. There are a lot of people that were speculated would be on the list that are not on the list. Festus Keyamo is a very capable guy. He's a very passionate person. Yes, a lightning rod, but he can bring something special to the table. So that I don't know. It's difficult to speculate what is the motivation for this late change and late addition. But I think it will be a great addition in any case.
So, Charles, give me your take on all of this.
I wasn't expecting Tinubu to be that generous. Nine women in the Tinubu cabinet. You recall when he was in Lagos, how many women did he have apart from having a deputy, woman's deputy, Kofo, who, of course, he fell out with in the course of that his first stanza. And then later he brought, he didn't also get a woman, he got Femi Pedro to complete the second tenure. So Tinubu has not, I have watched Tinubu closely. Tinubu has not always been a woman-centric leader, all right? He's not been very woman-centric, in the matter of speaking. So having said that, you also look at the one in Kano, the one that was dropped, or expectedly it should have, because Kano is a patriarchal society, predominantly so. You don't expect Kano State to be asking women to represent them, because you know that it's because of their religious, social-religious inclination. So they don't have any apology for dropping any woman, because Kano is never known to be women-centric. So having said, but I think Tinubu, again, he has so many people to please. I am able to think if Tinubu were not working according to the constitution, Tinubu will get up to about 500 ministerial.
And everybody wants to be on that. Everybody wants to be on the list. Almost everyone wants to be a minister.
You know that Tinubu has a lot of food soldiers everywhere across the country. So his question is who should he drop? So I'm going to look at. Let me make a prophecy, a media prophecy, that maybe in the first 2 years, Tinubu may drop some to also bring people. So it's going to be a first conference. You understand? Then I also look at Tinubu. When you look at his food soldiers, as I said, he has more men in his amongst his food soldiers, in the manner of speaking, than women. Okay, so everywhere he goes to, whether he goes to the Igbo country, whether it's here in Yoruba land, there have always been men that are amongst the food soldiers of Tinubu. So as I said, it was even very generous to even give nice trust to women. I wasn't expecting such generosity from him. So as for Keyamo, of course, you know that the lady they brought in, Okotete, yes, she has done well for herself in the corporate world. But again, politically speaking, that if you compare that woman Okotete to Keyamo, it's like giving you are just giving somebody who is not known when the main person is there. So I think it's a second thought they decided to bring Keyamo back, because a lot of people are already making insinuation that Keyamo may have been dumped after having been used. So it's a way of rehabilitating him, in a manner of speaking. So that's the way I see it, Deji.
Now, you look at, and I'm coming back to you now, Sajadi, you look at the makeup of the incoming cabinet. I mean, you have quite a number of young people in there, and some of them, of course, not political party, not card-carrying members of the APC. Do you think that's a plus, that you have quite a number of young people in the cabinet? I mean, some as young as 36.
Yes, I think what is fascinating is if you look at the range of competencies that these people bring in, rather than their personality or their profile. It's some very interesting things. I don't know the meaning of it, but it seems to have a lot of nephrologists, for example, who are medical people. It's very interesting that he's taking that tack. So when we look at the young people, these are young people that prominently have digital experience that I can see there. that have the capacity and can bring something to bear in that area. Two very prominent people who have digital engagement. So I think that it's not a sacrifice of competence for representation, at least so far. But if you then look at the spread of the diversity of people there, as my colleague has mentioned, you have people who are foot soldiers or political players and eaters in the space as well. So it's going to be interesting how we coordinate this team of people together. But as far as young people are concerned, they're highly competent young people who speak.
Now, one other thing, Charles, that the president would have to decide on is, the portfolios that these nominees would occupy. I'm just wondering, in terms of portfolios, how difficult do you think it will be for the president to assign them? Or you think the president would have made up his mind where each and every one of them would go to?
Okay, I think that's one aspect of our that we need to tinker with, that to make it a constant requirement that when you are appointing people or we are nominating people, as a matter of compulsion, their ministerial, their positions should also be attached to their names, because we want to look at when they are being screened. We want to look at they are being screened on the basis of their competencies as a matter of constitutional requirement. Let us have the names of these people and have their prospective positions attached to their names. I would want to see, for instance, this guy, the 41-year-old guy that was brought in from Ondo State, from Akoko, I understand. Yes. I want to know exactly what is he going to be doing in that cabinet. I want to know that Okoteka I mentioned earlier. What's that going to be doing in the cabinet? Matawale, that I personally think shouldn't be on that list. I want to know exactly what competencies Matawale has to bring into that cabinet. So I look at all these ones. I'm confused. I don't know. Okay, just give us just list. Okay, just clear them. Then we'll begin to look at what they're going to be playing. It's not a good thing at all. Then to also add to what Mr. Jadi said earlier about when you talk about the young ones amongst them, well, it's a plus for not too young to run, but I think that's where it ends. I have a problem with the fact that since around 1980s, we have not been training. We're not been training political leaders in this country. Or since the days of Baba Jakone and all that, we've not been training political leaders to take over. But all you have are political followers. They're actually not. So, for instance, this 41-year-old and the other guy from Lagos, what political experience do they have? Because if you know what it means, someone without political experience to be given that privilege to say, okay, to pretend over the affairs of the ministry, when you know that ministerial positions they have politics embedded in it. How much political muscle would they be able to muster to get things done? So I would expect that, as I said earlier, we have not been training political leaders for a long time. These guys who have though young, though competent in their respective professions, but when it has to do with political game, they may not be able to stand their grounds when it has to, when it comes to sitting in that cabinet. If Professor Kamo had to undergo some training before he was, today now we can say that he has a bit of experience, but maybe about 30% by my own estimation. So it's not just enough for you to bring in young ones in order to say, okay, people have been looking for young people, we have got them now. But what political experience do they have when it has to do with mostly certain things for them to get certain things, some actions? So I have a problem with that, DG.
I understand you, Mr. Jadi. You have anything to say on that?
Well, I have to give a different slant to it. You see, when a president, everybody serves on the discretion and the pleasure of the president. We run a presidential system. He's the one that is accountable. And the issue is we always talk as if when we are talking about capacity, we really know what we're talking about. No, we don't. The real thing that matters in a ministerial appointment is your character. And as my colleague mentioned, your ability to marshal the direction and guide people to what the president wants. Now, we don't know enough. Our system does not test out the character of these people. We speculate on their character. It is the process of acting on behalf of the president that the character becomes very manifest, how they run their department. So it is now down to the president. And I think there's a gap here that makes these things very speculative. If the president's vision is very clear and his expectations are laid out very clearly and his milestones and his outputs are laid out, then the minister that goes in there, we know what to expect and how to judge them, and we can evaluate them. Right now, it's not as clear as it should be, and I'm hoping that the president will make it clear. But if we are going to look at this in real terms, it is the president's discretion. There are things that he's considering in terms of their character that we don't know about. And what we should be asking is that these things will be set out very clearly so that we can judge them in how they perform when they take up the roles that they are being given.
Now, because both of you are political affairs analysts, I have to ask you this question, but I want you to be very brief. It's nothing related to the ministerial list at all. This has to do with the problem in Niger. How, in your opinion, should ECOWAS handle this? I'll start with you, Mr. Ajadi.
It's a very big issue. You see, there is something we are missing out on Niger. There have been 3 coups in Niger against this president, and one was successful. And the one that was successful came after we removed subsidy in Nigeria. There is something there that we're not looking at. And I think that ECOWAS is very right in what is laid out as a grand plan that it wants to pursue, led by the president of Nigeria. But I think what is missing is that we have to decouple in our strategy the people from the military people. We have to find a way to attract the people away from the current coup, the military people junta. If we don't do that, we're just going to create a problem for ourselves. A top-down approach is not going to work. We have these are brothers in Niger. They are relatives actually. We have to find a way to attract them and help them to recognize the importance of remaining democratic and the benefits for them. Right now, the people don't see any benefits because once the Nigerian subsidy is removed, we are now in a different ballgame. To add to that, we have also cut off the electricity. So everything is pushing the people towards the side of the military and believing that they are isolated and they stand with their military government. So I think that if there's anything I would advise is their own capacity to create an attractive option for the people to reconsider supporting the military regime. And sorry, quickly add, we also have to be mindful that there is a superpower game that's been played out here as well, related to the Ukraine war and the danger of that.
All right, Charles, let me get your final take on this.
Okay. I will not stray too far away from what Mr. Ajadi said. Well, I think ECOWAS leaders should be very careful, particularly in Nigeria. It's a trap. A trap is being set for us, and if we fall into it, it might be a catastrophe that might be untold catastrophe. And I have every cause to say that, because before 2015, we were told that Nigeria was going to cease to exist as one body, and then you now look, we were able to say through that. Now, if you look at the Francophone countries, there's been this growing anti-French sentiments. And that being said, you remember that even this Niger Republic accounts for about 25% of the EU uranium needs. Now, these people don't see it at all. They see the export, they don't see it. And number one. Number two, the military junta right now, they just told you that over time, they will locate where the bandits are. They want to go over there to rout them. Then Bazoum will tell them, no, let us take permission from the French military formation on ground. They see that as professionally demeaning and diplomatically discomforting. So why would I be taking permission from military from another country when we are supposed to be a free nation? So there have been problems there. So I think that this anti-French sentiment is the one that is actually going around the Francophone countries, which of course are now standing on their own to say, okay, they want to cut their umbilical cord from France and have some other allies elsewhere, which of course Russia is coming into the fray, and they are going Russia way and telling Europe and France to go to hell. That's the way. So we have to be very careful that right now, even Russia itself, just like Mr. Jadi said, they're also looking for cannon fodder in order to fight their own war abroad against the West. That's exactly what I think is also playing out.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Hello and welcome back. Now, tension is rising over recent developments in Niger, which represents the last of the 3 Central Sahel states to succumb to a military coup on July 26, 2023. Recognizing Mohamed Bazoum as a legitimate president, the ECOWAS authority rehashed its earlier resolution to explore all measures necessary to restore democratic governance in that country, including the use of force. Now, aside the 7-day ultimatum, the bloc at a summit now also imposed immediate sanctions on Niger, including the closure of land and air borders between member states and Niger. The West African Economic and Monetary Union has also imposed immediate sanctions and frozen Nigerian state assets. Now, other resolutions at the end of the summit included a stern warning that if the coup plotters fail to restore political stability in 7 days, ECOWAS might use force. Many have, however, cautioned over last week's resolution of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Government in handling the military coup in Niger Republic. In a joint statement on Monday, Burkina Faso and Mali warned that any military intervention against Niamey would be considered a declaration of war against their nations. The reactions in support of Niger from the junta-led states have set the stage for a deeper divide and potential breakup of the West African bloc. Former Director, Department of State Services, DSS, and security consultant Dennis Amakri now joins us on the program. Mr. Amakri, thank you very much for joining us on the program. How tricky a situation is Niger for the ECOWAS bloc?
Well, it's very critical, but like you said, there is serious tension that is going on. And that tension will affect Nigeria more than it's going to affect others. And remember, Nigeria is surrounded by Francophone countries, and 3 of the Francophone countries have already declared that they are going to support Niger, if Niger is attacked. So we're in a very dire situation at this moment.
I would think that the 2 countries that have actually declared their support would be would be Mali and Burkina Faso, and they are not our next door neighbors anyway.
That even makes it worse, because if people far-flung are declaring, there are others that are near us that will, like to support.
But let's face it. I mean, do you expect that these countries, Mali and Burkina Faso, were not going to come out in support of the coup in Niger, considering what happened in their own country?
If you go back in history, you find out that when Mali had their coup, Nigeria actually, well, through ECOWAS again, sent our former president, Jonathan, to go there and talk to them. You know, that talk was not successful because the coup continued and they took over the government and remained there. So right now, for Niger to come up again, and then we are trying to, you know, give, because remember, they can say it's ECOWAS, but the Malians and the others, the Francophone countries, they see it as a Nigeria, because the chairman of ECOWAS is Nigerian, and then of course they feel that, in fact, yesterday you can see the demonstration that went on in Niger, you know, where the Nigerian president pictures were put on the poster and they were, you know, abusing him and stuff like that. So it is something that affects us more than it will affect the other, you know, ECOWAS members.
Now, ECOWAS, of course, sent a delegation to Niamey. The former military leader of Nigeria, Abdul Salami, was dispatched to Niamey, as well as the Sultan of Sokoto. And when they got there, they couldn't meet with the junta leader, that's General Tiani, and they're back in the country. Does that mean, I mean, what options do you think ECOWAS now has? I mean, since this has failed?
I think ECOWAS have to back down. ECOWAS have to back down. I think they made a fundamental mistake when ECOWAS, after, you know, condemning the coup, went ahead and gave them ultimatum. You know, they shouldn't have given them any ultimatum. Just like the African Union, you know, tell them, look, hand over to civilian rule. This kind of government is not good for your people and everything. And then start negotiating. Because, you see, the United Nations recognize Niger as a sovereign nation. And there is no way you can go and invade it and think that, or you can impose your policies on them.
Well, is this about imposition or about defending democracy? I mean, you look at the series of coups we've had in the region. Of course, certainly, it doesn't speak well of the region. And the truth is that if you allow this to continue, you never can tell where it will end up.
I know. It might be both of the things you said. It might be to defend democracy or the governments that are, you know, occupying the other heads of states, you know, because they know that if this thing succeeds, you know, it might move next to another country.
Of course, and that's exactly what we have seen. When it started from Mali, it moved to Burkina Faso. We also saw it in Guinea.
Yes, because in fact, forget about the recent history. If you go back to the 60s and the early 70s, you find out that when most of the majority government in West Africa were military governments, you know, and it started from this same Mali to Guinea, Guinea to Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso to Ghana, Ghana to Togo, Togo to Nigeria, Nigeria, all the way like that. So this is like a resurgence where we are having that same.
And you don't think that should be stopped by any means necessary?
Well, you see, people have decided, or there is this general opinion that democracy is the best form of government. Now, if democracy is the best form of government, that means it should answer all the problems when it says that it is a government for the people, by the people, for the people, you know, by the people, and, you know. So if this is the case, people say, okay, fine, that is the kind of government everybody wants. And you see that in the first round of military coups, when they were there trying to, you know,
are you in essence saying that the Nigerians have said this is what they want?
Did you see the demonstration out there?
Yeah, I mean, you of course, naturally, you would expect that some people would support the coup, but there are others too who would not support, but they may not be able to come out because they're scared, and they'll be in their numbers.
Like they said, majority votes take the ground, right? Those people you see are a lot of Nigerians.
And can we say that everybody we saw there supports the coup?
There. They were voluntarily, they came out, you know, voluntarily. So I believe strongly that it's a popular coup, because let me tell you something. Our original master coup plotter in Nigeria said it, and I'll quote him. That's General Babangida. He said, no coup can succeed if the people